Hi, I'm Rebecca and welcome to episode 17 of the Creabea Knitting podcast. Hello and welcome back. I'm coming to you from a pretty grey spring morning. I wonder if there'll be a time when I say it's not a grey morning in Edinburgh. That seems to be the recurring theme at the moment. My name is Rebecca and I'm a knitter, and this is a podcast all about knitting, what I'm currently knitting on, what I've been knitting on, and what I'd like to be casting on in the near future. And there's usually some yarny goodness, and today of course there's some yarny goodness. And yeah, it's a bit, I'm wearing a sweater and I'm inside, so I have a window open, but there's someone doing some construction outside, so if there's some noise I'm just gonna power through, because I think if I stop every time I'll be here for hours. What do I have today? I have 3 finished objects, which just feels like insane to me. I've got 3 works in progress. I guess so. I feel like I'm missing one, but I think I have 3. I do have a couple of I've got a couple of things I'm casting on very soon. And I've done some swatching, so I'll talk about those. And I've got a little bit of acquisitions, just a little bit. And today I also thought I also do some sewing, and right at the very end I'll put in a little segment about some sewing. It's not going to be a regular segment, I don't think I sew enough to keep up with that, but I thought I would just have a pile of my most favourite or most worn sewing items beside me, and I thought I would talk about them, and I can film some footage and pop them in as well. We'll see how it goes. That's very new to me, so we'll see. I don't know what that'll be like, but I'll put it right at the end for anyone who's not interested in sewing content. You can just stop watching there. But before I jump in, my last video was a bit of a disaster, so thank you to everyone who let me know. I don't know what happened, but I just really messed up on the editing. I usually don't have any issues, so once I've watched it, like once I've added all my pictures, I just export it and upload. But in the last one, only one of all of my pictures actually like survived the export. And so I said, like, here's a picture for a lot of them, and they just didn't come through. So apologies for my shoddy editing. I'll make a proper effort to do it this time. I find it really hard to listen to myself back after I film, so I hate editing the podcast. But I feel like I've gotten quite lazy with it, so I'm going to make a solid effort today to edit properly. The other thing is, I said I would put in some footage of my holiday in Greece, and I just didn't do it. I just forgot. So again, it was going to be a weird podcast today. We're going to have all the knitting as usual, and then some sewing, and then some footage of Greece. But you know, we like to mix things up here and keep you all entertained, so hopefully that's okay. But yeah, let me just jump into the knitting, because that's why I'm here, really. So let's start with what I'm wearing, because it is also one of my finished objects. Sorry, I've got a real frog on my throat. So what am I wearing? I'm wearing the Sunday sweater by Petite Knit. I will pop in a foot. I say this now. I'll try to remember to put in a picture of what this looks like, because I understand when I'm wearing it, it's a bit hard to see. This is a pattern by Petite Knit. It is one of her very early patterns. Okay, I think I'm done. Yes, there we go. It's a pattern by Petite Knit. It's one of her very early patterns, and it's a really simple round yoke construction sweater, but it has this really lovely like sunburst design where it's knits and purls and they like fade out to the bottom of the yoke, and then it's just plain knitting. It's got this rounded neck band, which I think I might put some elastic in, but I've not done it yet, because I was just a bit lazy, if I'm honest. And it has these sort of puff sleeves. The original, you increase and then you rapidly decrease, and I just didn't do the increasing. I just kept the stitches the same all the way down and then rapidly decrease for a cuff. And even then, it's not that, like, it's not a very tight cuff. It's still quite loose and quite nice, and you know what I mean. This yarn is a strand of Drops Melody and a strand of Drops Flora. Drops Melody is a really, really fluffy yarn, which I think is alpaca, mostly alpaca, like 60% alpaca, and then it's got some wool and some, I think it's polyamide, it's like a core. I don't have any to show you. I mean, I have some somewhere, but not near me. And then Drops Flora is the wool, I think it's 65% wool, 35% alpaca base, which is a really like simple 4-ply strand of yarn. And I use the Drops Flora to add some stability to the melody because it's very fluffy and very soft. The finished garment is incredibly soft. Like, this feels like a warm hug. It's so soft and so cozy. I really like it. It's definitely a warm one. I do think that, I mean, I'm wearing this today. This might be worn in like the mornings and then maybe the evenings when I'm cold for the next little while until winter, because I do just think it's maybe a bit too warm for the spring. I used a dark grey. It is coming up quite a pale grey here, but it's more of like an ashy grey. I think that's the colour Drops tend to call it, and it's a lovely fabric. You can see, like, it's not, okay, maybe you can't see, there we go, it's not really dense. It's quite an airy fabric, but this just feels like a warm hug. Like, I just feel so cozy in this. I had, I believe, 8 skeins or 8 balls of the Drops Melody, and I think I still have 2 and a bit left. Maybe, yeah, like 2 and a, I think I just got into the, like, I have 2.75 left. I just used a little bit of that 3rd skein. So what I think I will do, again, this is so far down the line, what I think I'm going to do is I'd love to make a very simple, big striped sweater in this yarn. I'm thinking, I've seen like the Varpu sweater, I think it's called, something similar, like quite a loose gauge, like this is 14 stitch gauge, which I think is perfect, and I'd like to stripe it with a beige. I don't know if I'm mad with that. I might sound like I'm losing my mind, but that, I don't know, I think it'd be really nice, and I think it would be a very, very cozy work from home sweater, and that's what I'm aiming for. But yeah, I like this a lot. I like the sloping of the shoulders. I think it's really lovely. Like I say, it's very soft and cozy. It does feel a bit big, if I'm honest. I think I can't remember what size I made. I think I made a large. There's a lot of fabric under here, and it feels like I've got kind of like shoulder pads on a little bit. Like, I feel a bit hench, which is maybe ridiculous. But yeah, super cozy, and I like it a lot. I've seen some lovely versions of this pattern in like a beige or like an off-white, which I think I saw somebody on Instagram wore it to their wedding and like wore a version over their dress for like the outside parts, and it looked stunning. So maybe, I mean, I've got the pattern now, maybe I'll make another one in the future. And I had something else to say. I've forgotten what it was. Oh, I've not blocked this, and I don't know if I will block it. Like I say, it's already quite big, and the stitch definition is fine. I don't think this like really needs blocked out. So I'm thinking I might just wear it a little bit for now, and then at some point I'll probably wash it and maybe just give it a block then. But I really usually I'm quite strict about blocking everything, but I just don't know if this needs it. Is that controversial? I'm not sure. So yeah, that's my first finished object, and I really like it. It's really cozy. I will say I finished this quite a while ago, I think the weekend after I filmed the last podcast, and then we had friends staying last weekend, and I like put this in a cupboard along with my other finished sweater and just didn't look at it. So this morning I took it out and I like wove in all my ends and put it on. So it's getting its first wear on the podcast, but also this is why, I mean, there's great things about being a podcaster, like there's a sense of community and you get to know lots of people, but also it just keeps me honest and makes sure that I finish my sweaters and I weave in my ends so that I can show them on the podcast. So that's my first one. My second finished object has been, oh my goodness, I can't quite believe this is finished. That this feels, I think this is on my needles for like 3 months all in all, which for me is a long time to have anything on my needles. I'm quite a speedy knitter. I like churn things out, so this does feel like it was there for a while. but this is the first sweater. Oh, you definitely can't hear me. I'll talk through the armpit bit. This is the first sweater. It's a pattern by Hive Knits, who is Lizzie. I'm just realising that camera strap is hanging down and I'm not going to get up to fix it. We're just going to leave it there. It's a top-down raglan sweater, and it has this really beautiful dramatic statement sleeve in half fisherman's rib, and it comes down to like a dramatic cuff. It's got a folded neckband, this really nice like double stitch raglan, that's what I mean, like 2-stitch raglan. And again, I will put a picture of this because every time I film, the colour blows out. It is such a rich teal colour, and my camera just can't handle how nice the colour is, I think, and just really blows it out every time. So a couple of things about this. The yarn I used is Woolyknit British wool in 100% British wool on the colour Mallard. Wow. I got all like the middle words wrong there. This is Woolyknit British wool 4-ply on a cone colourway Mallard. Held together with one strand of Filcolana Tilia, which is the mohair base in the colourway Midnight. They're glorious. They're quite different in colour. The Mallard's definitely a bit paler, and the mohair is this really rich blue, and it really gives it this like glossy shine. It looks very luxurious because of the way the mohair looks. I've not blocked this yet, and I might even block it after I finish filming today, but I want to try it on. I think this is one that I'll have to block to certain, like I need to try it on and see how it fits. I always, when I do block, I always try something on and then think, okay, I want this to fit this way, I want to pull this bit down, I want the sleeves to be this size, and then when I go into blocking it, I'm marking out, like I pin things out to that dimension, because I find it always means it fits much better. And I know with these sleeves, it's such a stretchy stitch that the pattern really encourages you to knit it shorter than intended, and then you really stretch them out when you knit them, and it also means that the stitch really opens up. So I'm excited for that. But it felt like it's been sitting in my head like I really need some time to try it on and think about it and then block it. It will take me 10 minutes, but for some reason that has stopped me from blocking this yet. I've really been in a funny mood the past few weeks. So yeah, that is it done. And I will say, so in terms of the yarn combination, I really like this. I got a comment which I loved on the last episode where somebody asked me to compare 3 combinations in terms of yarn, in terms of how luxurious they were. So the first one was Filcolana Arwetta and Filcolana Tilia. The second is drops alpaca and drops air, and the third was Woolyknit mohair and Woolyknit British wool and a strand of mohair. And in terms of like softness, the Arwetta and Tilia are definitely for me the most luxurious. The drops alpaca and drops air is again very, very soft, but the alpaca has this like weight and drape to it, which I think isn't suitable for all projects. And then this one, which is the Woolyknit cone and the mohair, came in last. And then, which I was kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. And then I was weaving the ends in today, and what I realised is this has such a beautiful structure to it. I feel like I'm talking in a way that like people are gonna think I'm crazy, but it just has this really nice weight to it. The 100% wool, obviously the Arwetta is superwash, so it doesn't feel slippery at all. It just feels so really nicely structured and a really nice weight to it. Yeah, and I kind of forgot how much I like this combination until I was asked that question, and then even then I hadn't really touched this in a while, so I was like, yeah, it's not the softest. And then I was weaving the ends of this morning and I thought, I'm giving this a bad rep because it's actually really, it's got something really special to it, which is good because I have loads of cones. I still have a load of cones, so I really need to, I need to start knitting on them, and I've got mohair to go with them. So it's good that I like this combo because I'm going to be making more things in it. The last thing I was going to say is the sizing. This pattern was like professionally graded to 11 sizes and then test knit in 10 of the 11 sizes, so the sizing is bang on. However, my gauge was off. So the pattern calls for 24 stitches per 10 centimetres, and I couldn't get that. I'm quite a loose knitter, and I probably could have gotten it if I went down to like a silly size needle, like a really small, I think I knit this on a 3.25. So to get 24, I'd have to probably go down to like a 2.75, and I wasn't doing it. I just didn't want to do it. So I got 22 stitches per 10 centimeters, and I sized down in the pattern. So I think I made the 3rd size, and I should have made the 5th size. Like, if I was on pattern, if I was on gauge, I would have made the 5th size, but instead I made the 3rd size. And actually, I think it's really lovely. I think it's quite a dense fabric. There's really no air coming through this. So I think I prefer this gauge than the 24 stitches. Although I've not seen one finished in 24 stitches, so maybe I like that too. So yeah, this is the first sweater. And I saw that Lizzie's working on a cardigan version. She's done some really interesting stories on Instagram with her swatches and like testing out different increases and testing out the button band, and I found it really interesting to watch. So I would definitely recommend watching that if you're interested. So those are my first 2 finished objects, flying through these. And my 3rd one, we go from like thick sweaters in mohair and fluff to basically like a scrap of fabric. And I will say it's finished, but I'm not sold on it. So this is my Allure camisole, which is a pattern by Caidree. And I will put up a picture of what it looks like, because again, this colour, it is a very pale sage green, but I feel like this makes it look a bit grey, a bit yellow, and it's not really, it's a bit different. So I'll put a picture up here. They're really loud with that construction mark, aren't they? But I'm really warm, so I'm not going to close the window. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by my neighbours. So this is the pattern is great. I will 100% say a big props to the pattern. The pattern is written in a lot of sizes. It goes from, I believe, like I can't remember. It goes up to like 160 centimetre bust, and I think the smallest is maybe 72 centimetres. And for example, I made the large 2. So there was like, for every size, there's like multiples, and there's, I believe, maybe just 2 inches per, or like 5 centimetres between sizes, which obviously is really good for something more fitted to, like it's a more fitted garment, and it's fitting under the arm. So it's nice that you can really pick a size that fits you, because there's so many, like you're not like, oh, I'll go to this size because it's the closest one. Like it's really, you can really nail the right size. So you knit these 4 cups. It's really kind of, I mean, it's reversible, I guess, in the sense of the front and the back are the same. It's got these I-cord straps, which are my first time doing I-cords, and they're mostly okay. Some of them are way better than others. Some of them are a little bit messy. I think where I had to like, the grafting sides are a little bit messy, but the pickup sides are beautiful. So my pickup sides will just be the front. My grafting sides can be the back. The only thing about this pattern that I'm not a fan of is the bind off. So this is an I-cord bind off, and as you can see, it's just rolling up, and I just don't think it looks that cute. I just don't think I'm loving it. So I'm thinking of undoing the I-cord bind off and just doing some ribbing. I think that'll be fine. The I-cord bind off took me ages as well, so I'm a bit annoyed that it took me so long, because now I have to unravel it. The other thing is, it's 100%, so this is the Knitting for Olive silk, 100% pure silk, which I think is 250 meters per 50 grams. It's a great, like, it's lovely to work with. It's really lovely. It's a bit splitty. They're very like individual plies, but it was really nice to work with. I would quite happily make more things with it. I think I will at some point in the future. It's £9 for 25 grams, no 50 grams, must be 50 grams. It's £9 for 50 grams, so it's not cheap, but it goes a long way. This looks really short, but this is actually a kind of perfect crop length for me. I can just tuck this into a skirt. I mean, I will if I can fix this bottom. If I can fix this bit at the bottom, I can just tuck this into a skirt perfectly. There are only 2 things about it. One is I'm in the cups, there's a bit of rowing out, which I think if I hold it certain ways, you could, I definitely saw it, there we go. You can see it a little bit here, it looks a bit stripy, like down here. That's my rowing out. I don't mind, and I know I could fix rowing out by using different needle sizes, but I'm just, most of the time blocking solves it. However, you're not meant to wet block silk, which I think makes a lot of sense. So you're meant to just like pin it out and then spritz it with some water. And I'm just a bit worried that I rely heavily on blocking to fix my shoddy knitting. And I'm not sure this will happen with this. So we'll see. That's one thing I'm a bit nervous about. Yeah. But this was just 2 balls. So I used 2 balls. It really doesn't look like it looks that great hanging up, to be honest. But sorry. What I might do is if I get it finished and blocked by next time, I'll put it on so you can see it next time. This is the colour Dusty Artichoke, which is a lovely sagey mossy green tea colour. And yeah, it's 100% silk cami for £20, which I think is actually a really good price for it. I mentioned last time this was incredibly good holiday knitting, and I'll say that again, it was really good holiday knitting. And because of that, I have another one I'm going to cast on because I'm going on holiday again. So that's all for that, I think. I'm sure I've forgotten something, but it's fine. But let me talk about the next one I'm going to cast on. So I'm going on holiday, which means there'll also be 3 weeks until the next podcast. We're going to Italy for a week, but we're also going down, like we're going into London a little bit before, and we're flying out of and flying back into London. So we'll be gone from the flat for about 2 weeks, I guess. And then 4 or 5 days of that, I think like Sunday to Friday, we're in Pisa. So I was really, like I said, I really enjoyed knitting that. I thought it made a really good travel knitting, and so I'm taking it again in another yarn. So this yarn is the Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino. I bought 2 skeins of this when they were donating all of the proceeds of the yarn to Ukraine. It was Ukraine. Wow, isn't that insane? That feels like it was so long ago. But it is just now 3 months since the war in Ukraine started, so it must have been. Wow, sorry, having a real realisation at the minute. So yeah, it's Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino. This is the same yardage as the silk, as the pure silk, so it's 250 metres per 50 grams, so I should not have an issue getting the same pattern out of it. It is 70% organic cotton and 30% merino. I hate this colour. Actually, holding it up, it doesn't look so bad. But it's the colour Piglet, and on the website it looks like a real like stony beige, I guess. But in person it's pale pink, and it is actually not far off my skin tone, and I just do not see this being an attractive colour to wear. I hear people say this a lot, like, oh, I wouldn't wear XYZ colour, and usually I don't really agree, and I would wear most colours, but this, like, I will look like I'm shirtless, like topless wearing this, I think. But I was watching Tiffany's Yarn Corner, who I'm sure, she has like 50k subscribers, so I'm sure everyone knows who she is. She is pure chaos in the best way. Like every one of her episodes, she's like, petite knit, petite knit, petite knit. And I love it, because to be honest, I'm not far off. But she ordered this exact one, and she just made this comment where she was like, oh, I just don't like it, I'll just dye it. And I was like, that's genius. Why am I not just dyeing it? So that's what I'm going to do. I think I'll knit it first. I got some tips to maybe try and dye it first, but to be honest, I don't really have the time to sort of, I mean, I would have if I'd thought about this early enough, but I could have, like, this is just perfect travel size, and then I'll knit it up and then I'll dye it at the end. Maybe it's a bad idea, but it's what I'm going to do. I've not decided what I'm dyeing it with, but I thought it would be nice to do some natural dyeing. I've dyed with avocado pits before, but to be honest, I think this is actually pretty close to the colour of what I get from an avocado pit, so I don't really want to dye it that colour. I thought about, someone mentioned onion skins because you don't need a mordant, so I might do that. I got a book about natural dyeing for Christmas, so I'll have a look through there. And I also just considered buying some natural dyes. I know you can buy some like powdered natural dyes and mordant online, and I thought like a really rich red, like a madder root dye would be really lovely. So we'll see. I reckon I'll show it as a finished object relatively soon, but maybe it'll be a while before it's dyed up. But we'll see. I was really pleased to get that tip though, because I ordered it and I thought, oh god, I hate this colour, what will I do with it? And actually, I just dye it. It'll be interesting because this is a very, very even tone. However, I gather that cotton and merino will probably dye quite differently. So I will wonder if they'll take to the dye the same way. Wow, I'm really straining my eyes. I wonder if they'll take to the dye the same way when I dye it as it has when the company said it. Okay, it's suddenly getting a lot warmer because the sun is coming out. Crazy. I'll pause, I'm gonna open this window. I'm determined to stay in my knitwear, so I'll just let the air in and then I'll continue with my whips. Okay, hi, I'm back. I took a break to open a window and then went out for lunch. So now it's been 2 hours. I've had a vegan grilled cheese sandwich and I'm home again to try and film the rest of the podcast. It's really bright outside, but it doesn't look like it's staying that way, so I'm going to stay where I am. We've had an outfit change, we've had all the above. So, works in progress, I think is where I was at. I can't remember. I think if I start at works in progress, then I'll at least have covered everything, maybe twice. So, I have 3 works in progress at the minute, and I don't know how it's happened, but all 3 of them are patternless. I guess, so 2 of them are designs that I'm working on. One of them I'm making up as I go along, with no real intention of it becoming a design. I just wanted a garment and I couldn't find it, so I'm knitting it, I think, from scratch. We'll see. But the first one I've shown before, and it's still going. A flash of blue, you know what that means. This is my Cathy cardigan. So I feel like I've mentioned this every time I talk about this pattern, but one of my goals of the year was to write up a pattern. I would just really love to understand the process of the editing designer goes through. I've been very vocal about supporting size inclusive designers, and I would love to, I just feel like it's a good thing to know what goes into designing a size inclusive pattern. I can tell you, I've not even started writing this up yet, and I'm already mind boggled by people who design regularly, because I find this is frying my brain. And I was pretty good at maths in school, but not when it comes to knitting patterns, I think. So yeah, my plan was to write up one design this year. I have no intention of becoming a full-time designer at the moment. I really enjoy my job. I do think it could provide some flexibility if I decide to take a break from working for whatever reason. But it's right now just honing my skills, getting things from my brain into existence, and hopefully sharing about it as I go. I actually have 2 designs. I've got a new one that I've cast on, mostly because this one was stressing me out so much I started doing something else. But let me talk about this one first. So this is my Cathy cardigan. It is a drop shoulder-ish, a kind of drop shoulder. It's not an obvious drop shoulder, it drops to about here. I think some are really low. It's not like that. And it is, okay, it's knit bottom, that's fine, I could show you. It's knit bottom up. And it has these, so this is the back, and I've done, okay, so this is the front panel, the front left, I guess, that'll go here, and this is the back, and then this is the right here, so I'm just working on the bit that will come up over the shoulder. It's done in an all over textured pattern, which I really, really like. It's a combination, it's simple, it's cables and lace, eyelet lace, and it's very, very simple. It's relatively time consuming. You're cabling every 4th row and you're doing a lace something every 2nd row, so it can be kind of time consuming, but it's very rhythmic. I couldn't, for example, I couldn't watch TV, or I can watch TV, I couldn't go to the cinema, which I often do, and knit on this because I have to look at it to get the cables right. However, for most of it, apart from there are a couple of rounds I've had to do a little bit of shaping here, for example. Of course, on those rounds I have to pay attention to make sure that I'm counting right. But otherwise, it's pretty mindless, but something different. It's not just stocking it. I've also learned to cable without a cable needle for this design, which is probably no surprise given they're this many cables. There are a lot of cables, and so yeah, I learned how to cable without a cable needle, which was way easier. what I find interesting, and I'll have to test this out, is I find, what are they? Left leaning or right leaning? So these are left leaning cables, which is where you, if I was using a cable needle, I'd slip the first two onto a cable needle, I'd hold them forward, knit two, and then knit from the cable needle off. So they're held in the front. And so I designed it that way because I was using a cable needle, and so I held them at the front. But when that comes to cable without a needle, that means you have to go in the back of the stitches. And I'm intrigued. I mean, you definitely could knit this with cables, as long as they're all the same. They could be right leaning or left leaning, it doesn't matter. And I wonder if without a cable needle, it's easier to do a right leaning cable than a left leaning cable. So I'm not sure. I might, when I get to testing, that's something I'll definitely include, and it might end up being the final pattern that in your swatch, try both and see what you find easiest to do, because I don't know if I'm making my life harder for myself by making them all left leaning when it could be easier right leaning. Don't know if that made any coherent sense, but hopefully it did. So yeah, it's so lovely, it's so nice, it's a very luxurious feeling fabric. There are quite a lot of places like Cezanne and sort of how you say it, Rui, where they have a lot of very feminine lacy cardigans that I just think they're always quite expensive, but I feel like they're worth it because they look like really artful, and that's kind of what I was going for with this. It's knit with a strand of mohair, but it could be done with just DK weight yarn, I think. Hopefully when it gets to testing, someone will knit it in DK weight yarn and I can confirm that that's the case, but I definitely think it would be. So yeah, that's quite a good way to hold it. There we go. So like I say, I've done all of that panel, and I've done this front panel, and then I'm working on this front panel. So what I'll do next is join the shoulders. I think I'm just going to do a 3 needle bind off there. I considered grafting it, but I don't think I want to. I learned last year how to graft in pattern, but even then I find it a bit tricky and just a bit, I don't really like it. So I think I'll do a 3 needle bind off and then pick up for the sleeves, and then I'll need to do the neckband and the button band too. My plan was to finish the body for going on holiday so that I could block it out while we're away, and I kind of wanted to block it lengthwise, like block this whole thing before doing any seaming, because I do think that helps this stitch pattern open up, but that's not going to happen because we leave tomorrow and I still have, I mean, it's not a lot of knitting. I probably could finish it tonight, but I'm sewing a dress to take on holiday tonight, so I don't think I'll be doing that. So this is this combination of yarn, Filcolana Arwetta and Filcolana Tilia. Tilia I think is my favourite mohair. It is pretty, it's not pricey, I'd say it's like middle of the range. Sorry, I've got my own hair stuck to it. But I do really enjoy Tilia. Like I say, one of my favourite. I picked Arwetta mostly just because I wanted to knit in this colour, and this is a relatively hard colour to match, I think. But I think any other, like it's 420 meters per 100 grams, so I think any other fingering weight would work. Maybe light fingering to fingering would work. And it's a really lovely fabric. It's very soft. It's super, I mean, the superwash is the Arwetta superwash, so it's next to skin soft, and it's just very, it's very luxurious. So yeah, I'm getting there. It's a bit of a shame because this, I've not really felt, this hasn't been a particularly portable project. So we went on holiday for 2 weeks and I didn't take this, and then we're going on holiday again for 2 weeks. I mean, we're working for a week, but we're working from not in the house. So I feel like I can't really take it again either, and this needs blocking now, so it keeps getting kind of delayed because of circumstance. Like I probably would have had this finished now if I hadn't had so long away from it. But it's okay, there's no big rush, and I think when I got back from Greece, I had a real drive to get this finished. So no doubt I'll have the same when I get back from Italy. Okay, my second whip is also, I mean, it's not really a design as such, but there's not a pattern for it. So I struggle a bit with summer knitting in the sense of I want to be knitting, but I just don't like a lot of summer patterns. I think it's really tricky because I think I prefer basics in summer. I wear quite a lot of hand sewn hand sewn. I don't know. Yeah, I guess not hand sewn. We can work out a lot of like me mades, so a lot of like skirts that I make a lot, sometimes dresses. But I do find it tricky to pair, like a lot of my skirts, for example. I'm wearing a skirt right now, which is in, how can I do this flashing everyone? Like this is the fabric of my skirt. And so I don't really want like a very detailed top. I want something quite plain and quite simple, but quite chic and kind of basics. So I don't think there are a huge number of those. I think there are, but then I see one I really like and it only goes up to, like I saw a beautiful t-shirt the other day. It has 4 sizes and the largest one's an L. Like XS, S, M, L. Like come on. And a lot of other ones are up to maybe a 3XL. There's a really, like, finding a really nice basics that are size inclusive, I'm just finding to be very, very tricky. And then a lot of them are just very fussy. I find a lot of summer knits very fussy. There's a lot going on, a lot of lace, and I think some people really suit it. I keep seeing people in things and I think that's beautiful, but I wouldn't wear it. So anyway, that's my, thank you for coming to my TED talk on why I don't like a lot of summer knits. So I went digging, to be honest, and thought, well, I want to be making summer knits, but I don't really know what I want to be making because I'm not seeing patterns I like. So I think there are a lot of camisoles out there I like, but in terms of more like coverage, I honestly was just looking through websites of some people, like some like fashion-y brands that I like. I was looking on Pinterest and I came up with a couple, and one that I really enjoy is a polo shirt. There is this year a polo shirt from Toast, which is quite a bougie brand, 100% linen polo shirt, which I just think looks so good. And I keep looking at it, so I now get it in my ad, like recommended ads on every website I go on, so I still see this polo shirt every day. And I decided to make a polo shirt. It's not linen, it's cotton, but I just thought, like, why not try? So I've got all of the, what I did was I sat down, I did a gauge swatch, and then I sat down, and then I basically worked out all of the construction. I couldn't find another polo shirt pattern the same gauge. Or really with a collar I liked. A lot of them are a lot fussier than what I wanted. So what I've done is I wrote up the whole thing and I've written up a pattern, and the only thing I've not really written up yet is the collar, but it's bottom up, so I can basically finish the whole thing. I can even do the sleeves without having to even think about the collar, and that can be the last thing. And it's good because I had to rip it out and do it again. It won't ruin the rest of the top because it'll already be knit, and it's not like a blocker, a mental blocker to me starting to get the collar finished. I can just knit the whole thing and worry about the collar after. So it's basically going to be like a drop shoulder. It's going to be pretty similar to this actually. Like this is quite an oversized t-shirt, so it's going to go to it here, but then here it's going to have this like strange bit here which will eventually turn into a placket, and then there'll be a collar. The placket will be buttonless, and I think I'm going to try to do it stockinette at a tighter gauge instead of rowing. So what I have so far is not very much. It's basically just the body. I'm going to split for sleeves now. It's cropped, but that's fine. Like I don't mind that it's cropped. It's obviously, isn't cotton just a nightmare to join ends on? I just think it's so messy. Does this side have an end? Okay, let me show you this side because then there's no big hole in the middle. Ta-da! Looks like nothing exciting so far. So it's got a bit of a chunkier ribbing band. I think it's like 6 centimeters because I thought that's a bit sportier, and polo shirts are quite sporty. And so now I'm going to cast off under the sleeves, knit the back panel and knit these 2 front panels, and then at some point I'll cast off this bit here. So I'm not just fondling myself. I'll cast off here and then knit these 2 panels, kind of similar to the Cathy Cardi construction, I guess. And then I'll seam up the shoulders and then work out the collar. So yeah, that's where we're at. This yarn is a button band. This is the Rowan Summerlite DK. I like this yarn a lot, but I'm not very experienced with summer yarns, so take that recommendation with a pinch of salt. I made 3 camisole patterns last year, and I can put a picture up here actually. I've got a picture of them. And the rust coloured was the one in Summerlite DK. The blue was made in a drops yarn, and the white was made in an Erica Knight Egyptian cotton, and I really enjoyed, I love the rust coloured one. I have no real opinion. The white one's fine. It's not quite, I don't like it as much, but it's fine. And I donated the blue one because I didn't like it. It was too chunky. So those are my experiences in Summerlite with like 3 summer yarns, and the Summerlite DK came out on top. So not a huge amount more to say about that. I guess I've got a few more, like I'll try the cotton merino and report back on how I think this is. And I've ordered a couple of drops yarns as well, which are both summer yarns. I think they're Belle and there's something else. No, not Belle. Belle is the one I tried last year, didn't like, I think. Anyway, so yeah, I like this yarn a lot. I've got quite a lot of this. I've got it in this colour, and I also have black, and I've got more of the rust colour. It's got a good range of colours. It's not super cheap. I mean, it's like £4 for a ball, which I think for cotton is quite expensive. Like that drops one that's coming today, or that's ordered today. Actually, I'll tell you something funny. I have a basket waiting to check out on Wool Warehouse, and it won't check out. Like there's a glitch every time I check out, and I think it's just the universe telling me to stop buying yarn. But I'm not going to listen to it. I'll try again later. Maybe I'll try from a different browser. We'll see how it goes. But the one I ordered from Drops is, I don't think it'll be as good quality, but it's 80p a ball. So this is quite pricey, I guess, by cotton standards. But yeah, if you have a summer yarn that you really enjoyed, it's worn well, please let me know below. Because I don't really know, I feel a bit clueless, hence why I've got this in 3 colours, because I just buy what I know works. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. I like this colour. It's quite heavy is the only thing. Like I know cotton is a bit heavier, but it really does feel quite heavy. But I guess that's what it is. I think the finished thing will be like 350 grams, which feels like an awful lot for a summer t-shirt. But there we go. This is also not coming on holiday with us, so I'm not sure. I mean, hopefully it'll be finished by the next time I film, but we'll see. Okay, my third and final whip is another design. It's funny because I guess when I said I was going to design something, I also said I'm pretty sure there's only one design in my head and I'll never have another one. And then of course I had another one because it's like floodgates. It's interesting because as soon as you unlock once you see it coming together, that you've had the thought of something and you've done it without a pattern, it feels like suddenly I can do everything. Like I would never have last summer, or even probably 3 months ago, thought I can't find a polo pattern, I'll just make a polo pattern. Because I've done it for the cardigan now, I'm like, yeah, it's just numbers. Until I can't do the collar and it takes me 6 attempts to do the collar, right, we'll see. So I saw this, okay, so the next one is a design I'm doing. I saw this stitch pattern and I thought it was absolutely beautiful, and I have no idea what it's called. If anyone knows, please tell me. Somebody messaged me on Instagram and told me that she's designing a clutch bag in this stitch pattern, and I said to her, like, do you know what it's called? Because I have no idea. I have a couple of ebooks of Japanese, I've got the Japanese Stitch Bible, I've got a couple like that. I think the Japanese Stitch Bible is known as like the most comprehensive, but I maybe have 3 or 4 in digital format that I will have to crawl through to see if I can find a name for this stitch. I thought I'd never really seen it anywhere before, but since starting it, I've seen it in a few places. But this is the stitch pattern. Here's a little swatch. So it's these like tucked stitches, which I think are really beautiful, and then some ribbing. I've got this one as well, which is a little, so this one is Holst Super Soft and a strand of mohair. It's super fluffy. It's got a real halo. It's Drops Air. Not Drops Air, I always do this. Drops Kidsilk. And then this is like with a raglan. I was working out the increases. And this is just in some Cascade 220. So it's this really interesting, like, sorry, my nails are a real mess. This real interesting stitch. And you pull, like you enter your stitch in a few below and then you pull a loop through. And that creates that. I think it falls into the tucked stitch category. know what I'm talking about, as you can tell. So I got there and I really liked it. Like I really was really into this concept, and especially after I'd done the raglan, this raglan one, and I think, wait a second. Yeah, I did a raglan one on the mohair and I just thought it looked like, oh, isn't that just beautiful? Like I just thought it looked so delicate and like, oh, I thought that looked really nice. So I had to cast it on. Of course I did. Casting this on was my reward for finishing my other two patterns. I fit my two sweaters, the first sweater and the Sunday sweater. I told myself, once you cast them on, you can cast on something, finish them, you can cast on something for yourself. So I am using, of course I've got a hair clip in my yarn. This is also Filcolana. This is, I think it's, I was going to check it on my phone, but I don't know what my phone is. I think it's called Anina, and it is their softest base, and it is insanely soft. It's like 100% superwash pure new wool, and it's the one recommended for baby knits. I don't know why I bought this one. I think I wanted to just try something different. It's otherwise pretty similar to the Arwetta, and I think it is very, very soft, but yardage wise it would be similar, I think, to any fingering weight yarn. I think it's just 420 meters. Is that a ball of it? Yes. Oh, look at me being messy and leaving ball bands everywhere. It means life's easy when I have to film. It's this, Anina. 100% superwash merino wool, 210 meters per 50 grams. And then yeah, this one is recommended as like their best one for baby knits because it's super soft. So I'm holding this, which is marzipan colour, with a strand of Drops Air in the light beige. And are you ready for this? Here is, oh, how do I hold this up without being ridiculous? I've got needles attached to the collar in a very strange place. This is the pattern. Oh, I think it looks so good. I'm really into it. I'm really, really into it. That's the back. This is the front. Which, of course, is not behaving. So again, I mean, quite similar to the Cathy Cardi. It's got this kind of like stripe context. It's textured and interesting, but it's not super challenging. It's not a really hard stitch pattern, and it's really, really repetitive. Like once you do it once, it's very intuitive. So where am I at right now? Firstly, I thought that doing a raglan sweater would be significantly easier to work out the maths on than the Cathy cardigan. That is a lie. It's so much harder. I guess because with the cardigan, you just have to knit the panels to be a certain size and shape, if that makes sense. And then you just have to make sure that, for example, at the shoulder, the back and the front have the same number of stitches. But for this, getting the yoke depth and then also getting the right number of stitches in the front and the back, or sorry, the front and the back and the sleeves is really challenging. But also because I have this stitch pattern coming out from the raglan, I can't, for example, just increase, because I was like, oh, it's fine, I'll knit to where I need to get to, and I'll just increase in the body and not on the sleeves. But then the stitch pattern would be off because then there are more stitches and it wouldn't line up. Does that make sense? So yeah, I don't know if I've cracked this. I might have to rip this out and start again, which I really hope I don't, but we'll see. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to knit the collar, which is going to be I think it's going to be a folded collar, although I'm actually just doing it single right now, and I think it does look quite nice as well. But I can always do it double, and then if I don't like it, I can rip it back. That's probably the easier way to do it than to cast off and rip it cast off. So I'm going to do a double, like a folded collar. It's not going to be a really deep one, it's going to be just a little folded collar. And then I'm going to continue with the body, because I think I'll be able to test on the fit better once I've got the collar on. That's my logic anyway. What I'm really, really, really proud of in this is the short rows. So I think everyone knows what short rows are, but just in case you don't. Short rows, the short rows are in this, I can't even see what they are. Yeah, so obviously when you wear, not obviously, but often when you wear a sweater, the back of your neck sits higher than the front of your neck by quite a bit, right? And so you want the front to scoop a little bit and there to be more fabric at the back. And the way that, apparently this is not the way it's always been done, but the sort of modern way of doing it is to knit back and forth in short rows under the neckband, or if it's a patterned yoke, to do that under the colour work on the body at some point. But either way, you're making this like crescent moon shape and you're wedging it in the back somewhere to lift the back up. This can be really challenging in design, like in a yoke with a pattern on it, because you've got to keep, like with this, obviously, if you have, you want the pattern to match up. And so if you're doing rows, the rows are the same length, so it means that some of them are on a different part of the pattern than the rest of them, and then your rows wouldn't match up for the garment. And it would also make it really complicated, because then some stitches you'd be on row 2 of the stitch pattern, and some you'd be on 4, and some you'd be on 1, and it would make things very complicated and it wouldn't line up. So I had to really do some research on how short rows are done, because I thought there's 150% someone who's fixed this problem because I don't know what I'm doing and someone else does know what they're doing, and I'll find out from them. So I thought it was really interesting. I went researching, and this is where I found out about the whole concept of the modern short row versus the traditional short row. And that a lot of patterns traditionally will actually have you cast on and sort of knit like a little band, but not join in the round. So you knit like a little wedge and then you join in the round, and then you just start knitting normally in the rounds. And as soon as I read this, I realised I did that in the Billy pattern that I test knit for Sari Nordlands, and it was fine and it worked really well. And I suddenly was like, oh my gosh, like it was a proper light bulb moment to make that work. So I was super relieved. And it was also nice because I had that pattern, I tested that pattern, so I read through that pattern again to understand how it worked. The first time I did it, I forgot to increase here, so I just had this like very straight line, and then realised you have to actually increase along here. I felt like a magician. Like I honestly felt like I was trying to tell my boyfriend, like, look, I made the short rows work, and he was like, well done, cool. I was like, no, I made the short rows work. So yeah, as you can see, maybe you can tell, there's a bit more fabric here at the back than there is here at the front, but it's all still in pattern and doesn't look obvious. So yeah, it's going to be horrendous to write up, and I will 150% make videos for it, because I just don't think I can explain this well, if I'm honest. Like I think I'll really struggle to write this out. I think that's why I have tech editors and things, but I think if someone sat down and explained this to me and then showed me how it worked, that would make a lot of sense to me. So my plan is to do that for this. Whenever it comes out, there's going to be hell on earth to grade this. Like I already know now, this is going to be really challenging. I'm finding it very challenging to just make the numbers work for the size I'm knitting it in. So I know it's going to be a nightmare if I ever get around to writing this up. But it's going to be so worth it, because it's stunning. It looks so good. I'm really, really, really pleased with this. I'm honestly more pleased, like more proud of myself for this than I am for the Cathy Cardi, because for that, it just felt like more straightforward. But for this, I really felt like I had to, I felt like I'd really learned something, and also using a skill I'd learned already. Yeah, I don't know, it just sounded really, I just felt really good. So yeah, I'll finish the collar, and then currently the sleeves are just on some scrap yarn. And then I'll put, sorry, not the sleeve, the whole body's on scrap yarn. So then what I'll do is I'll finish the collar and sew it down. And then it'd be really good to finish that today and try it tomorrow. And then at least I have a bit of a vague idea before I get on the train tomorrow how much more to knit on this. I'm taking this on holiday with us. It's also, I'm taking this down to London. I probably will not take this to Italy, but we're going to be down in London for a week before we go. So it's a very stretchy stitch pattern, so it's going to probably block out to about that. Like right now it's here, it's probably going to block to there. So that's also making it challenging, because I try it on and I really want to try this on. My head is not going to fit through that hole. My head is not going to fit through there. No, it's not. But yeah, I just that's another tricky thing, is that I need to try it on, but obviously it's going to block out quite a lot. Anyway, it's making my brain hurt in a really good way. So yeah, this is a sweater. I have a name in mind for it, but I'll just let it mull over my brain for a little bit before it gets anywhere. I really like that the Cathy Cardigan is named after my grandmother, and so there are some other strong women in my life that I would like to continue, if I do patterns, to call them after them. But obviously I don't want to go naming something after someone and then it's going to flop and I can't make the maths work, because then I've used up the name on a failed design. So I'll wait until I can guarantee it's going to work before I reveal which wonderful person this is named after. So yeah, those are all my current whips, like right on the needles right now. However, there's one more to talk about because it's going to get cast on quickly, probably tomorrow. And it is the Lentil sweater by Lina magazine. I talked about this last time and I called it the wrong name. It's the Lentil, and it was completely and utterly inspired by Jodie from the Grocery Girls. I had mentioned before, so let's talk about this yarn. This is the yarn. This is a yarn which again, if you've been here for a while, you've heard me tell this story a few times, and I apologise for repeating myself. I went to Unravel Festival in February and I bought one skein of this yarn, which is a collaboration between Gullet Farm Yarn and Telling Yarns, which is a dyer. And it's beautiful. It's 100% non-superwash. I actually have a tag and I can't remember what it is. And the tag was much more detailed about the breed of yarn, and I can't find it right now. I don't know where I put it because I've caked it up. It is a fingering weight 4-ply. Fingering weight 4-ply, it's a 4-ply. And it is 400 meters per 100 grams. And this colour is the colourway Forest Green. They're the same size cake, this one's a squishy cake and this one's a solid cake. So I bought one skein of this at Unravel Festival and I fell head over heels in love with it, and I wanted more and there was no more, and it was this like limited run collaboration and there was no more of this yarn. I was so sad because I just wanted more of the yarn. And then I got a message from Steph at Gullet Farm saying I'm popping something to the post for you. And I was like, okay. And then it arrived and I opened it and they found another skein of this yarn. I was so happy. But obviously, like, I really want to wear this. I really, really wanted this to be a sweater. And so I went digging big time for a sweater pattern. And there were things like the Love Note or the Ranunculus, and I just wasn't feeling it. And I thought about the Love Note without lace. But again, on the Grocery Girls, they both recently made a Love Note without lace. And there's a real distinct, like the yoke looked quite different to the body, even though it was the same. There's like a line across it, and also it's a round yoke increases, and you can see the increases in the yoke, and I don't know how I feel about that look. So I kept looking, and then I thought maybe I could make up a raglan at the Love Note gauge. And then I was watching Grocery Girls and someone's of course already done that, and it's called the Lentil pattern and it's in Lina magazine. So it is one strand of fingering weight yarn. What they've done it with is, I think it's actually there's just a Labia NMA, and it is one strand of I don't know, it's a strand of maybe the Surrey and one of the fingering weight yarns, but the meterage is really low. I think it's like less than, for the size I'm making, it's 700 and something meters, which is amazing because I have 800 meters. So I had to find a mohair to pair with this, and I found one, and it's really, really good actually. This is the colour Reseda, and it's also in Tilia. It's a bit greener, so this has got some kind of warmy blue colours, and this is definitely like a green, but I think it's still pretty perfect. I cannot find a red mohair to match my red yarn, but I can find a mohair to match this obscure sagey green. Like, what is that? That's ridiculous. But yeah, so I've got the mohair, and this is gonna be the Lentil. It is, I'll put a picture here. I'm gonna have to do some real editing because I keep saying I'll put the picture in, so I'll have to actually make sure to put the pictures in this time. And it is a top down raglan. It's got a folded neckband. I'm just gonna do a single neckband, and it is got kind of 3/4 length sleeves and a kind of cropped body. I think I have a little bit more meterage than the pattern calls for, so I think I will just make my sleeves as long as possible. I like a bracelet length, but they're just kind of like here, and I think I'd really appreciate that extra 4 centimeters. Yeah, so I've swatched, which I thought I'd show you. I put a thing up on Instagram earlier in the week asking about whether people think I should alternate these skeins or not, because they're hand dyed, and I know you're meant to alternate hand dyed. They're very evenly dyed, and I'm holding it with mohair. So I thought, like, I really can't to the eye tell any difference between them. And yeah, and I'm holding a mohair with it, which obviously will sort of I don't want to say dull down the colour, but it makes the colour change less obvious. So almost everyone, well, like 75% of people said no, don't bother. Some people said just fade, like when you are switching between the two skeins, fade the switch. I don't know if I have to do that because it might already be on the sleeves, like one might do the whole body and one might do the whole sleeves. But yeah, that's a really good point. So fade, instead of just going to the end of one skein and starting a new skein, do maybe like a 8-row or 16-row fade between them, just to make sure there's no obvious jog. And somebody said swatch, which of course is the answer to everything, and so I did swatch. I wanted to swatch because the stitch gauge is 15 stitches per 10 centimeters, and I wanted to make sure I could get that, and I did. So here's my gauge swatch. So half of this is done in one and half is done in the other, and I can't tell the difference. I will say it's quite a holey fabric, which I don't mind, but I do think it's something to bear in mind. I think, like, okay, how to show this? If I wear this on my skin, you can't see my skin, right? Like, you can't see through it that much. But obviously if I hold it in front of the light, you can see straight through it. So I think it's just something to be aware of, but it's something that, like, I'm really committed to making a sweater out of these 2 skeins of yarn, so we're going to see how it goes. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say about this. So I'm just going to fade the 2 colours. There is a line where I can see it, but the line I can see it is just the line where the mohair strand is at the front of the stitch. So that's making it very obvious, but I don't think it's having any different impact on the colour of the yarn. So we'll see. So I've not cut I don't know how much yarn I'm really going to need, but I've not cut my swatch just in case I need this little scrap. And I think I'll cast this on the train tomorrow. I think this will go online exactly as I'm on the train. But yeah, I think I will do that tomorrow on the train. And get cast on and get started. I don't really currently have anything. Because I'm ready to split for the polo shirt for front and back, I've got nothing that's just plain in the round at the minute. So I am looking forward to getting that cast on and having a nice in the round project. And I think it's knit on, I'm knitting on 6.5mm needles. I think that's all I've got to say about it, I think. Okay, take a little break, take a little drink. So, acquisitions. Public service announcement, PSA, anyone who doesn't know, Wool Warehouse are running a sale until the 12th of June. And the sale is on a range of different things. But the highlight of that sale is that it's on their Kidsilk mohair, which, to be honest, is normally £3.60 and it's now £2.80. It's not a massive difference, but for example, if you were going to make, if you wanted to make like something with 2 strands of mohair or even 3 strands of mohair, this is a good time to buy because it's going to be cheaper. If you want to make an all over mohair sweater, good time to buy. They've got good stock levels in. And thank you, Miss Amy Palco, who as always enables me to buy everything because she was the one that told me there's a sale on. So I will say, I have some here. I have another basket I'm going to check out. I ordered this kind of spontaneously, just thinking like what colours would I like, and then I went and looked at some of my cones and thought, what am I still trying to match my cones of yarn with, and get some mohair for those. So that'll come. I'm going to send it to my parents' house whilst we're away, because that's what I do. And then my mum messages me and she's like, there's a big bag here for you. Is it yarn or is it fabric? So let me tell you what I got. I got 3 things. Well, I got 3 different products. I got a number of the different things within the products, but I got 3 products. So the first one is Drops Kidsilk. So I got some in black. I have 5 skeins of this. Yeah, I think this will almost definitely be something I would wear. However, I gifted my mum a ranunculus for Christmas and she's asked for a black one. So there's a good chance this will become that. I made the one that she has in alpaca, a strand of drop. Maybe it's, I think it is alpaca. I think it's a strand of drops alpaca, which actually is also on sale. So maybe I should just order that whilst I order the rest of the things. And a strand of drops mohair. So I think I'll just do the same with the black. Otherwise, like I really want to make a black sweater, so it's not a bad thing to have some of this. The second 2 items are for the same project. So the cardigan number 5 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, I've made a few of. I've actually made 4. No, I've made 3. One of them I over-dyed and it didn't turn out well. And the fabric went all felted. One of them is perfect and I wear it quite a lot. But it's just one strand of drops air by itself and I think it needs a bit more stability. And the third one I made more recently is the one in the Holskarn Cielo, which the fit is not quite right on, and I don't have the brain capacity right now to work out what to do about that. I could unravel it, but I might just gift it, or I might just sell it. We'll see. But I really like that design, and I kind of just thought you should just make one the way the pattern tells you to make it. And so I bought the yarn for that. So when Amy first sent the link to the sale on Wool Warehouse, Drops Air was in the sale. So I bought some, but now it's not in the sale anymore and other things are in the sale. So I don't know if that was like an accident or if they just changed the content. I don't know what happened, but I got Drops Air in the sale. I was going to say how much it was, but they've not put that into the organza bag. It must be the big bag. And then I got some mohair to pair with it, which is glorious. This colour is probably my favourite colour of the drops. The drops mohair is in some real ugly colours. Like some of the colours are so bad and I don't know why. Like who's buying some of them? They would make so much more money if they just made them in nice colours. But this is the exception to the rule because this is beautiful. So I think they're both sage, I think. I don't actually say what colour this is. I think they're both called sage green. You can see that, yeah, the air is a bit more bluey in but yeah. So I think this is going to be really wearable. I can see it with a lot of things I've got on. And I think once I finish the Lentil, this will be my next cast on. Because I do think I think it'll be kind of warm for summer, but I don't think it'll be ridiculously warm for summer, especially not Scottish summer. So yeah, this is 100% mohair and this is 65% alpaca, 28% polyamide, 7% wool. So those are my purchases. Like I said, I've got a basket ready to check out, which has, I think, 2 more colours of mohair. Oh, there's like a reflective circle. Oh, there's a mirror. I think there's a really reflective circle from the sun on my ceiling and I can't work out what it is, but I have a mirror sitting right here, so that's what it is. Sorry, that was a big distraction. So I think what have I got? I've got that I would like some mohair for. I've ordered another skein of mohair for this design in another skein of this. I have 5 mohair skeins of it, but I think I might need 6. And I thought I may as well just buy it while it's in the sale because, yeah, that just makes life easier. And there's some burgundy, which I've got a cone to match with it. And I got some chocolate, which will go with some drops Nord that I got to make a sweater last year. I was going to make a fingering weight sweater out of it, but I'm not going to do that, to be honest. If I don't use it for that, then I do have a cone of Holst Super Soft in tobacco, and I think it'll match that well. And then the other thing is, there are two cotton yarns. I'll put them on the screen. One is a cotton linen viscose blend, and one is just cotton. And I've got the cotton linen viscose one in, it's called like Almond Rose, I think. It's a really like dusty rose pink. And the cotton and the cotton in just a neutral pale, like a pale neutral colour, like a cream colour. Kind of for what I wanted this to be, but less skin tone and more beige. So they're on the way, I think, I hope. Well, they're not on the way yet because I've not checked out, but they'll be on the way soon. Let me just adjust. Sorry, I feel like I've come back from lunch and become very distracted, and the second half of this podcast might just be chaos, so apologies if it is. Before I do the sewing bit, I can just finish the podcast as I normally would, and then I can jump into the sewing little bit at the end, if that works. Like how I'm asking, like I'm expecting a response. So in terms of life is good. Work is really, really mental. My company is going through a big reshuffle, and it's just making things a bit tricky to plan for. People are leaving, people are joining, and it's not very relaxing. Like, I know work is not often relaxing, but I'm finding it a little bit, it's one of those things, it's just a bit chaotic. So that's been a bit of a lot. We've had a few really nice weeks. We had some friends to stay last weekend and it was so lovely. We did a real good Edinburgh weekend. We did all the touristy things, we went for some really nice meals, drank far too much wine. It was really lovely. And then tomorrow, so Friday, which is when the video will go live, we are heading down south for a couple of weeks. So what do we have planned? We've got a festival on Saturday, the 28th, which we went to last year and it was a really nice day, so I'm looking forward to that again. It's just a daytime festival in London, so to get the train home afterwards. It's not, I don't know, sometimes festivals with all the rest can be a bit chaotic, but it'll be just one day. And then we've got a few days, I'm going to work from my company's London office for a couple of days and go out with some work friends, see some London friends I've not seen in a while. And then we're going to Tuscany for 5 days, which with some friends, which I'm looking forward to. I think we're just going to really relax, and I think some people have hired a car, so we could do some day trips, but I think there's also a pool and there's a villa, so I think it'll just be sitting in the sun and eating lots of nice Italian food. It's my partner's birthday while we're out there, and so we fly home the day after his birthday, so we're going to head back into the city a day early, and I've booked a nice hotel for the night, a nice boutique little place, and then do some touristing for the day, and then we're gonna get back and we're going to drive the car home. So we currently don't have a car in the city. We weren't really sure if we wanted to get a car, and my partner had a car down south before we moved up, so he's left it down there to wait and see what we wanted to do. And then we've decided, actually there are a few things, especially I'm saying a lot today, I'm sorry. There are a few day trips we want to take. We want to go and see some of the islands in Scotland. We wanted to move up to be a little bit closer to nature and to see some more stuff, and now the weather has gotten to a stage we can do that. We're finding that we're a little bit stuck sometimes with public transport, but that does mean bringing a bit of a rickety old car from just south of London back up to Edinburgh. It's about an 8.5 hour drive, so that's going to be lots of knitting time for me is how I'm looking at it. So it does mean there's not going to be a podcast for a few weeks. I think it'll be 3 weeks again till the next time, but I'm taking lots of things on holiday to knit with, so no doubt I'll have lots to show when we're back. And if you're just here for the knitting content, then thank you so much for watching, and as always, like the video, and if you're not subscribed, it'd be great if you could subscribe. The next big milestone is 10k, which is kind of crazy because it's not that far away. Not that it makes a big difference, but it's kind of just exciting. Those big numbers are always a bit exciting, so yeah, liking and subscribing will bring that number a little bit closer. And I hope you enjoy all your knitting, and if you want to stick around for the sewing content, then stay where you are. Okay, some sewing chat. Let me preface this by saying I don't really watch sewing podcasts, so I don't really know how to do this without... I don't really know what I'm doing. To be honest, I don't really know what I'm doing with knitting podcasts either, so we'll roll with it and see what happens. So I have a few little piles next to me, and what I thought I would do is there are pretty much 3 patterns that I have made a lot of and which I wear a lot of. So I thought I can talk about them, show you them like this, and I can also, after this, film a little bit of me wearing each of them, pop them on screen as I'm talking about them, talk about the fabric and some of the mods I've made. I don't know if that works, but we'll see how it goes. So I thought we'd first start with the most beginner friendly and the one that has no pattern, which is a wrap skirt. Let me just get my little pile together. So I've made a lot of this skirt. I'm wearing one now, which I won't really show, but I've got 3 more here to talk about. So this is originally from a blog called A Pair and a Spare, who is now, she's rebranded, her name is Geneva something. And she used to do a lot of fashion blog, and she's got quite a good few tutorials there. There are a lot of like pattern free tutorials online where you just give you measurements and stuff. And this is for a wrap skirt. And the way it works is you measure your hips and you measure your waist, and then there's a formula to add 6 darts, which is, you know, to pull the fabric in, and then you add a waistband. What I love about it is that it's really customizable. You can make it midi, maxi, whatever. You can use any fabric you want, and it fits anyone, and you also don't need to overlock any seam because all the seams are enclosed. I've used this to teach a few friends how to sew, so I would really recommend it for that. And oh, the only modification I've made from the blog is there's a 10cm overlap where the wrap skirts overlap in the pattern, and I've increased that. To be honest, I still find myself almost flashing everyone if it's windy outside and I'm wearing it, but that way there's more coverage, which just means that if I'm sitting down, I'm not automatically showing everyone my underwear, which is quite handy. What else about this? It's very similar to the Peppermint Wrap skirt, which is a free pattern, which you can get from Peppermint website. It's pretty much, I think actually the Peppermint one is probably a better pattern. I think it's probably more put together. Mine at this point is just a bit like, it's evolved into my own kind of thing. So I thought I'd show you 3 versions that I wear a lot. And I'll put, I guess I'll talk about the fabric. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll put some footage here of what it looks like on. So the first one is in this fabric here. This is a viscose crepe, and I love it. When I ordered this fabric, isn't something that I would automatically scream very me, but I have worn this. I finished this skirt a few weeks ago, and I've worn it 3 times a week since then, pretty much 2 at least times a week since then. I took this on holiday with us to Athens, and it was amazing. I found that it wore really well multiple days in a row, so sometimes I feel with some fabrics they stretch out a little bit after a day, or like they just don't look as neat after a day. I wore this I think 4 days of our 10-day holiday, 7-day holiday, and it was amazing. So yeah, this is a midi length one. It's got waist ties, which have got a little bit ratty. They just need ironed out flat. Yeah, this fabric was from Rainbow Fabrics Kilburn. I get quite a lot of fabric from Rainbow Fabrics Kilburn. They stock a lot of viscose imprints that I really like. They're UK based. If you're a sewer and you don't follow them on Instagram, I mean, do so, but do so at your own. I'm pre-warning you that it's a bad idea because they drop fabrics in like sets every couple of weeks on a Friday, and I have no impulse control. So I see what I like, and then I just have to get it. Especially because they sell out quite quickly. They also get a lot of dead stock, which means that the fabric was produced for something else. Like the fabric was produced for a high street brand that then don't use all the fabric. So they sell off extra bolts of it to independent suppliers, which is theoretically more sustainable because the fabric wasn't made for sewing, it was made for like its leftovers. It's also pretty well priced. It's usually like, it's interesting, they used to be really, really cheap and then people started cottoning onto them and now they're a bit more expensive. But even then it's usually £6 or £7 a metre, which is still pretty good. And I can usually get a wrap skirt from 2 meters with some to spare. Yeah, that's the first one. The second one I absolutely adore. It's a linen. It's actually a linen cotton blend. And it's this one. I have a matching little tank thing that goes with it. I will say, actually, something I was going to say about all of these is that a lot of the things that I sew, I think, well, a couple of things, sorry, I told myself to say these at the start. Two things. Firstly is that since I started knitting more, my creativity has definitely gone in mostly into knitting, and I find myself sewing because I want the finished thing. I've now become like a product sewer and not so much a process sewer, and so I really just want things to wear. So I buy nice fabrics, and I don't particularly, I used to quite enjoy the faff of trying to get something to fit really well. I don't love that as much now. Sometimes I get a notion for it and I really want to do it, but really I just want to make things that I know will fit and that I like, and so I make a lot of the same patterns. That was the first thing. The second thing is I found that over the past year, well, basically pandemic, my weight fluctuates a lot, which I think a lot of us have, and so I basically make a lot of things with ties, and I don't love making things with zips because I find they fit, like I find I can just, like a wrap skirt, if you put on some weight you just tie it looser, or like you just tie it differently. And it's the same, or you know, if you're bloated or whatever. So I do definitely am more drawn to those patterns at the minute. For example, I have a top that goes with this, and the top is probably a bit too tight now across the bust, which it wasn't when I made it a year ago, but the skirt I can still wear just fine because it's just not wrapped as tightly. So this is the fabric. It smells so nice because it's just been laundered. I will definitely take this on holiday. This has been getting packed today to go on holiday over to Italy with. I really like wearing this with, I've got a linen short sleeve shirt and I think it looks really nice with that, but also a white t-shirt. I have a t-shirt this colour as well, like a sort of beige t-shirt. I talked about it earlier in the podcast, that knitted camisole also looks really nice with it. So yeah, that's my second one. This fabric I got from Minerva. They actually were stocking it at Sew Me Sunshine, and I made a shirt out of this. I don't know where the shirt is. I got really into this fabric last year. It's from Sew Me Sunshine, but yeah, they also stocked it at Minerva, and that's where I ended up buying this from because it went out of stock at Sew Me Sunshine. But I do like Sew Me Sunshine. I started a dress in fabric from them yesterday and I didn't leave. I just assumed I'd have enough, like it'd be wide enough, like long enough to cut the bodice out of, and it's not, which I'm really annoyed about, but the fabric is beautiful. So that's another place I really love, is Sew Me Sunshine. And then the third one is also one that I've made this year, and it's in gingham. This is a gingham linen one. I'm finding it's wearing really nicely. So it's only a few weeks old, but it's already really starting to soften up in a really nice way. It's a cotton linen blend. And yeah, again, with a white t-shirt, with a black t-shirt. I'm going to wear this to the festival on Saturday because I just feel really cool and kind of hip, and yeah, it just feels quite cool, I guess. And yeah, I really like it. I've got a few things in gingham. I bought this fabric to make something else, but I had a dilemma where I ordered this fabric, didn't have enough because it was not as wide, the bolt wasn't as wide as I thought it was. It was like half the width of what I expected. So I ordered some more and they sent me a different fabric. It was also linen, but it was a different size check. And I contacted them and they didn't have any more of this. So I ended up making a skirt because I didn't have enough for the dress I wanted, but actually the skirt gets a lot of wear as well. And yeah, I think that's everything for my wrap skirt. Hopefully I've managed to put some footage in of what they look like on. I wear these, they kind of my uniform during the week, or like during the summer months. I really enjoy wearing them. I find them really comfy and cozy. The only thing is, if it's windy, I do then have a tendency to flash people. But that's just, I think, accidental coincidence of wearing a lot of wrap skirts. Cool, so let me talk about the next little stack. Okay, so the pattern which I have by far made the most of is the by hand London Hannah wrap dress. And I have made, I think, 10 of these. That's not me exaggerating, I genuinely think I've made 10. It took a lot of hacking for me to get a fit that I liked. I really had to do a lot of work on it to, yeah, it just didn't, it wasn't out the packet fit. I found it gaped a lot on the neckline, so the neckline was quite low. and I found there's a lot of excess fabric like here above the cup, but like on this bit of strap. And the sleeves didn't quite fit, so I did a lot on this, and my pattern piece was a real like Frankenstein, everything stuck all over the place. But now I've got it, it fits perfectly. I will say I do like to pin the, I like to keep a safety pin with me for the neckline just in case it gapes a little bit. But I brought 4 of these, and like I say I have 10, and these are 4 that I enjoy wearing. So the first one is this red one. It's in this fabric. I'm just going to hold up part of the skirt and then I'll put the footage in of me wearing it. I originally hacked this one to have a wrap skirt, but I just couldn't, it wasn't functional. Like I could not sit down without flashing people, so I ordered some more fabric, I think, of the same fabric, and I added a panel to the skirt and turned it into a gathered skirt because I found it much easier to wear. This fabric is also from Arwetta.com, and it is a viscose. I sew in a lot of viscose, and this one has got like do we all have that actually? Maybe they do. Not quite. This one's just got like self-done bias tape on the neckline. And I like the red version so much that I made a blue version. It's the same fabric. This fabric is from Sew Over It. I got a voucher from there and I used it on a couple of different fabrics, of which this was one of them. And I wear this one a lot. I really like pairing this with a no-frills sweater. For some reason I do this more with this one than I do with the red one. I don't really know why. And I wear this one a lot. I love the colour, I think it's really nice, and then both of them fit really nicely across the bust with no gaping or anything, which I really enjoy. This one, I've extended the waistband so that it can tie once all the way round, which I find quite handy for tucking in a jumper, but otherwise it's not particularly useful. I just got the idea of doing it and probably could shorten it now with quite a lot of confidence, but I did it at the time. They both have short sleeves, short sleeve versions. My most recent and current favourite one, which actually needs mending, so I need to not put this away, is a linen one. Made in this linen. I will, yeah, you can see it here, like a rust linen. I made this before we went to Greece, and it was very much like my holiday outfit. I was very excited about it. I wore it on our one full day on the island, and it was glorious. I felt like a real, like, it was like a Mamma Mia moment. I just had it, I really loved it. I think that's one of the things I love about sewing for myself and making clothes for myself, is when I'm wearing an outfit that I've made, I just often feel like completely 100% me. I was like, this is who I am. It was great. It fits like an absolute glove. Like, this is perfection in terms of fit. One thing is that when we're on holiday, one of the back darts come a bit loose. You can see a little hole in it. So that's what I need to mend before we go away again. This has also been washed now. I didn't pre-wash the linen before I sew with it, so we'll see if it still fits as well now that I've washed it. Linen can shrink, where linen and cotton tend to shrink. So I probably should have done, like, I might now put it on and it doesn't fit, but we'll find out. If there's a video here, you'll know that it fits. And this has just got some plain bias tape. And is this one got a label? No. I have some labels that I like to put on them, but this one's not a labelled one. This is definitely coming on holiday. And then my last one is like a party version. It's actually still got the safety pin in it because I must have worn this one quite recently. Take that out. Oh, this fabric, sorry, the linen is from an Etsy shop, and it was a little bit pricier, but it was very, very much worth it. I mean, it wasn't that pricey. I think it was maybe £12 a metre, which isn't crazy expensive for linen, and some places are much more expensive, but I usually don't spend quite as much money of that on fabric, so it felt like a bit of a splurge, but it was in fact completely worth it. And then this is another one of my more recent ones, and this fabric, oh, I've been wearing it because you can see it's got some wrinkles under it. This is another viscose crepe, and it is, oh, look at that. It's so good. I bought this actually with the intention of matching it to my Cathy Cardi, because it's the same blue. And I love this. Again, I feel really like myself in it. It feels a bit fancier. It's got 3/4 length sleeves, and I also put quite a thick band of elastic in the sleeve, so it almost feels like a cuff. I wore this 2 weekends ago to my stepdad's 50th. We had some family over, and a girl approached me on the train station and said, "I really like your dress," and that put me in such a good mood, because who doesn't want to hear that? Like, that's the best compliment you can get when you're wearing a handmade. I mean, it's always a great compliment, but if you're wearing a handmade outfit, there is nothing better than somebody coming to you and telling you they like what you're wearing. So yeah, it felt like an Easter dress at the time, but now it still feels pretty summery, to be honest. I want to wear this today. So the by hand London, like I say, I've worn it a lot of times. I've made it a lot of times, sorry, and now it's pretty much nailed. I will say, I find the fit varies. I can make exactly the same pattern, and like I say, I've made it 10 times now, so I really know the pattern, and I can get a different result depending on the fabric I'm making it in, which can be a bit tricky, but I guess it's kind of how it works. And it fits me now pretty perfectly, but I do have to just be aware of a bit of gaping, and so I usually carry a safety pin. Okay, one more pattern. The last pattern, no, there's one more after this. Okay, these two, oh sorry, this fabric is from eBay. That's all I've got to say about that. I've never bought from them before. Well, actually I have bought from them before. Crystals009 is the user. I bought some viscose from them before, which has been, like, this is the best purchase I've made from them. This is the highest quality of all the purchases. Okay, and now I've got two more. The other pattern I make a lot of is the Indigo dress by Tilia and the Buttons. This is also a really, really good beginner friendly dress pattern, and it's not very fitted, so it's really like you can't go too wrong with it, I think. It also, in my opinion, is something which is quite on trend, and there are a lot of versions of this in shops right now, so I find it's quite nice to make things that other people are wearing. Like, it's nice to be able to make your own version of a trend. A couple of things, I find the shoulders on it are very, very long, so when you're dressmaking, usually you want your shoulder to end right at the end of your shoulder, and then your sleeve starts. But I find that in the original Indigo, mine starts quite a bit down, so I had to really adjust that shoulder panel. And I think I just use my sleeves from my by hand London Hannah. I just use those sleeves on my Indigo now, because they fit best. So I've made two of these. Well, I've made more than two of these, but these are the two that get the most wear. The first one is funny because I got this fabric and I didn't like it. Like, I wasn't sold on it. I didn't think I'd wear it very often, and this is one of my most worn dresses. So, oh, that's what I was going to say. I have hacked, it's going to look so messy because it's not pressed. I have hacked a square, yeah, you really can't tell. You'll tell when I put the video of me wearing it in. I've hacked a square neckline onto my Indigos, and those are the ones I wear the most. And all I did was, I looked up a tutorial for a square neckline dress and I just followed that pattern, but I did it on the Indigo pattern. And so I have like a regular version of the front bodice, and I have a version with a square neck. And the square neck one is the one I wear the most. This dress definitely has a mark on it, and every time I go to look at it, I think, oh, wash that dress, has a mark on it. And every time I then fold it up again and forget that it's got a mark on it. So it's got, it's a midi length, and it's got waist ties. I always add waist ties to my Indigo because I also feel it can look quite fitted and dramatic, but it can also just be really easy breezy. It's great for wearing if you're going out for dinner, because then after dinner you can just let the waist ties loose. And eat all the pasta you want. And this one also has like a second tier on the skirt, like a flounce. And my other one, oh, and this fabric is also Rainbow Fabric Kilburn. And this one is definitely one of my most worn of all time. Again, it's a square neckline. Oh, they both have these kind of balloon, they're kind of straight sleeves, but then elasticated at bracelet length. Waist ties. Sorry, I'm really looking at the dress on the camera. And again, it's got a tier. It's the same dress. It's exactly the same dress. And I love this fabric. So those are my two sewing indigos. As I pulled these out this morning, I have one in with short sleeves, which I like the shape of, but I don't love the fabric, and it's making me want to make one in short sleeves. So I think I'll have to make one soon because I want it. I've got a lot of fabric, if I'm being honest. I have a lot, and so I definitely just need to be sewing some of the stuff I have. So I might just do some digging and pick out some fabric to make that in. So those are all of my most worn, and then I thought I would just do a little whip update because I started something yesterday and I'm really excited with how it looks and I'm hoping to finish it tonight. So I thought if I'm going to talk about sewing, I may as well talk about this. This fabric I saw on Instagram. Actually, I was inspired by someone on Instagram and she messaged me today and said how much she liked it, and I didn't think she followed me, and I was like, oh, amazing. I don't think she just followed me, I think she just saw that one picture. But I only bought the fabric because she shared it already. So damn cute. So this fabric is from, I can't remember, I'll put it underneath, and it's someone I'd never ordered from before, and it's a wee bit pricey but not crazy expensive, and like you can see it has these like watercolour oranges on it. This is the Flora dress by Hand London, but a few changes. So there's no waist darts, there obviously are tie sleeves, and there's a shirred back panel. It's the first time I've done this actually, it's the first time I've done a shirred back panel. I just, like I took the Flora back and I redrew the bottom of it, and instead of, normally the back mirrors the front, so it has this high section, but instead of doing the high bit, I just cut it straight across the back, and then I split those into two panels and put two side panels and a back panel, and I shirred that back panel. So yeah, that's the inside of the back. There is a piece of elastic up here, and then the rest is shirred, and then I sandwiched, it's actually pretty messy on the back, and I still have a pin in it because I pinned, I'm going to trim that. I sandwiched that shirred panel in between the dress and the lining, and the lining is actually the wrap skirts. I made a wrap skirt 2 years ago in a white linen, and I still have it, but it's incredibly see-through and I don't wear it. So I actually cut that up and used it as the lining for this. So, I mean, it's perfect. So I've got a skirt to attach. I'll attach the skirt to it tonight. I think in an ideal world, my skirt would have a flounce on the bottom, but I don't think I have enough fabric to do that. But that's okay. I might have another look at this website, because if they have more of the fabric, I could always just finish it now and then order another half metre and then add a flounce when I get home from holiday. Is that ridiculous? I will finish the dress first and see what I think about it without sans flounce, and then if I want to add another tier I can. So yes, I think it's so cute. This is the first time in a while I've taken a pattern and actually tried to do something exciting with it, and not just copy the pattern the same way I always do. So, and it's actually really fun. Like, I've really enjoyed the process of it and trying to work out what to do. So maybe that's a sign to me that I need to be doing this more often, because I did really enjoy it. So yes, that's all my sewing. I hope this was nice. I hope that was what people were looking for when they said they'd like to see some of my sewing content. I definitely don't think I'll do this very often. Like, maybe once a quarter, maybe once every 6 months. I don't feel like my sewing is very exciting. I use lovely fabrics, but I'm not very good at doing anything interesting other than sewing the same patterns over and over. But I hate taking pictures, because with knitwear I can just do a nice flat lay on the floor and I can be in my pyjamas taking some nice knitwear pictures. But with sewing I feel like I have to be a bit dressed up. So I find it really hard to take pictures of my sewing sometimes. But I am doing some sewing, so maybe I should make more of an effort to share some of those. Anyway, this is going to be an epically long episode if you stuck around to the end. So I hope you enjoyed, but there won't be one for 3 weeks. So yeah, hopefully now you're just fueled up and ready. And I will see you all in 3 weeks after some time in Italy, and Yeah, I mean, sorry, but just imagine me sitting somewhere, like in Pisa, drinking an Aperol Spritz. It's gonna be amazing. Now I'm getting really excited. Okay, on that note, I'm gonna go. Thank you for sticking with it for so long. I feel like I've spent half my day, I probably have spent half my day sitting here chatting, and I'll see you all in a little bit. Happy crafting, and speak to you next time. Bye. Whoa.